Hello there, welcome to our viewers in Nigeria and elsewhere around the world. Yes, since the last general elections in Nigeria in 2019, of course, there's been so much happening. There have been a number of legal disputes in almost all the states of the Federation, whereas almost all of them have been dispensed with, or at least dealt with conclusively, one way or the other. Some up to the level of the Supreme Court, as it were. One case arising from a December 5 by-election, occasioned by the death of the original winner of the 2019 election, has remained unresolved politically. This has left the people of the affected area unrepresented. And here we're talking about the people of Imo North Senatorial District. They are perhaps the only constituents who remain unrepresented in the Nigerian Senate since 2020, when their elected senator, Uwajimogu, died suddenly. The Independent National Electoral Commission conducted a by-election to fill the vacant seat on December 5th, 2020, and declared the All Progressives Congress, the APC, the winner of that by-election. However, there was and has been an internal crisis within the APC over who the authentic candidate of the party is. It all started with the holding of separate party primaries, resulting in the emergence of two candidates for the same position. Since then, it has been one twist and turn to another, from one courtroom to another, one judgment after another, climaxing in the Court of Appeal and then the Supreme Court of Nigeria. On January 5 and 6 this year, on January 6, 2021, the Supreme Court sealed the fate of Senator Ifeanyi Ararume, who had asked the court to declare him the candidate of the APC in the by-election and therefore winner of the election. The other contender for the candidacy of the APC was Chukwuma Francis Ibezim, who was cleared by a court to represent the party in the election. But it has turned out it was a temporary victory, as the Court of Appeal in Abuja on January 6, 2021, just a day after the Supreme Court judgment on Ararume's appeal, upheld the earlier disqualification of Ibezim by an Abuja High Court as candidate of the APC for submitting what the court said a false information to the Independent National Electoral Commission and in aid of his qualification for that election. The APC appears to be in a quandary, as its two candidates for that election have been caught in a web of intricacies, even as INEC had earlier declared that the APC won that by-election, ostensibly in the hope and belief that the party would sort out its internal conflicts and resolve the issue. The Ibezim appeal will still need to be resolved in the Supreme Court. Already, the APC is in a fix. But with the APC in such a fix, a number of legal questions have arisen. Who or which party is qualified to step into the vacancy seat, or into the vacant seat of the senatorial seat for Imo North? Does the law allow the seats to stay vacant even as the Supreme Court is seized of the appeal that has now been filed by Ibezim. What does the Electoral Act provide in a situation such as this? Should the victory in that election remain with the party that was declared winner, or should it pass on to the next party and legitimately nominated candidate in that election? These are some of the issues we shall strive to unravel on the program today. We shall also be looking at internal party democracy. When situations arise, we have no reason but at least to look back at how the parties have been conducting their affairs. Parties that, as it were, have discarded or indeed disobeyed every rule of the game when it comes to nominating candidates. These are the issues that we'll be faced with, that we'll be looking at on the program today. That will be right after this time out, and we will meet our guest analysts. Two of them, lawyers, who are right here in the studio. Stay with us. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. People, politics, and power. And today we're looking at the situation in Imo State, Imo North Senatorial District in particular, where since December 5, 2020, it has not had a representative in the Nigerian Senate as a result of legal tussles that are going on between two candidates of the same political party. That was after the by-election conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, during which, or at which, the APC, as a political party, was declared winner of that election. But of course, because of the differences, the conflicts internally within the APC, no one has been able to take up that seat at the Nigerian Senate. So the larger issues are there to be talked about. The issues of internal party democracy, and then, of course, the non-representation of that senatorial district in the Senate for so long, since the last occupant of that seat died in 2020. I have joining me in the studio Mr. Maxwell Okpara, who is a legal practitioner based here in the nation's capital. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure to be here.
For joining us. Also joining us is Barrister Yomi Ogunsanya. Mr. Ogunsanya, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Right. So, Barrister Okpara, let's begin by tracing the genesis of this whole, what some people have described as a debacle in Imo North Senatorial District.
Well, it's very unfortunate. It shows political party inability to resolve their issues. If you watch, the issue came up and the party allowed parallel primaries. Party recognized parallel primaries in Imo North. The one led by Shiro, and the other man led by, I've forgotten his name. One for Ararume, one for Ibezim. Now, two of them now came up with their own candidate for the seat. At the end of the day, the matter now went to court. Because if you watch what actually happened, some people in the party take their personal interest above that of political party. And that was the reason why they allowed that parallel primaries. Go and run your own. Go. I don't want to offend you. I don't want to offend you. Go and run your own. Nobody is even checking the position of the party. Then when they must have finished, now they went into courtroom. The first court said, Federal High Court, no, Ararume, you are the candidate as far as you are concerned. Federal High Court. Ibezim now went to Court of Appeal. No, these people shut me out. I'm a necessary party. Court of Appeal said yes. They ought to have listened to you.
You are not giving fair hearing.
You are not giving fair hearing. As a result of they shut him out, he was not made a party. So they thereby set aside that judgment of Federal High Court. Now, being dissatisfied, Ararume went to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said what Court of Appeal said. is the right thing. Meanwhile, election has come and gone. APC has been declared winner. Now, another legal battle now started. The issue of that legal battle has to do with the issue of a certificate. This one bears Frank, this one bears Francis at Federal High Court. Federal High Court said, well, as far as we are concerned, there are two different persons. We don't know the one, and there is no particular affidavit to reconcile all of them. So in other words, you are not even supposed to be a candidate. So he went to Court of Appeal. Court of Appeal still said the same thing. Now we are in a Supreme Court. So that is where we find ourselves. So based on what the Court of Appeal said, that is the subsisting judgment we have now, because it has not been set aside. So if you're going to that, taking it in conjunction with that of Supreme Court, because had it been that Supreme Court has not pronounced any judgment, you would have said, just wait, let us know what the Supreme Court will say. But Supreme Court has settled the issue of who is the candidate of APC in him or not. That one is not an issue. The candidate of APC in him or not is Frank Ibezim. It's no longer an issue. That one has been settled. Now the question there is that, Frank Ibezim, were you qualified to stand in that election ab initio? The court said no, you are not qualified. So in other words, legally, APC has no candidate in that election. As we speak today, as we speak, until Supreme Court to do what? Set it aside. So the issue of Zamfara has played out itself again. The issue of Bayelsa has played out itself again. That is to say, APC, as we speak, legally, going by the Court of Appeal judgment, has no candidate in that election. So you cannot place something on nothing and expect it to stand.
Yes, Mr. Gusonya, what does this tell us about the way political parties conduct their affairs in Nigeria? He just talked about precedents to the Imo case.
Yes.
We have Zamfara. Well, yes. I mean, at least two very prominent precedents.
Yes.
Zamfara.
Yes. Bayelsa.
And I think there is even a third one somewhere along the line. But all of this is playing out. I mean, how do parties conduct their affairs even when they have legal departments and they have legal advisors?
Well, this clearly shows the lack of the supremacy of the party to talk to his own aspirants. I mean, there should be, this is an internal crisis, internal party crisis. It's really telling us how the political parties, especially the APC right now, is unable to put its house in order. Because these are issues that should have been resolved mutually. There should have been compromise among the aspirants. In a situation where you are having two parallel primaries, and the party is there and the party leadership is there, it's untenable. The party should know how to conduct its affairs in a way and manner that whoever is aggrieved, they know how to pacify such persons. In a situation where two persons from the same political parties are going on to the court, I mean, it is not right. It is not right. It has happened in Zamfara, it has happened in Bayelsa, and it's happening again. At the end of the day, the party is going to be the loser. That was the position in Zamfara. The party will be the loser.
Now, what is the place of the Independent National Electoral Commission in all of this? I asked that question against the backdrop of fact, and any one of you can actually answer this, against the backdrop of the fact that primaries conducted by political parties are usually observed by the Independent National Electoral Commission. So they are part of the process from the word go. And then, of course, the political parties are also required to submit the names of their candidates to INEC before an election. In this particular instance, is it that a political party submitted two names to the electoral body, or what could have happened?
No, okay. Let me take that. Okay, I don't think that was the position. INEC is an umpire. They watch the parties conduct their internal elections. Any name that is forwarded to INEC, it's what INEC will enroll for the election.
So what's the essence of observing?
Yes.
Of observing the primaries.
Okay.
If at the end of the day, a name other than the one that emerged from a primary that was observed by the electoral body is submitted by the political party to it for the contest.
Yes, this is because any aggrieved party has its own right. It has the right to approach the court, and this usually happens when the party submits one name and the other person goes to court to challenge the nomination of the party or the name that has been sent to INEC. INEC is helpless.
Just to take it off from there, if you watch, that is my memo, which I forwarded to the National Assembly, private memo in respect of this new electoral act. I said, the law said, even the Supreme Court said, INEC has no right to conduct internal affairs of the party. Their own is to observe. Now, when it's observing, what is it observing for? Just like as we are told, as it happened in Imo North or Kiwe, the two parallel primaries took place the same day. Now, the question there is that where was INEC then? Now, immediately after the two primaries, National Working Committee of the party recognized Ibezim. Now, the question there is that under what criteria do you recognize Ibezim against Ararume? And Ararume went to court. And the Federal High Court said, no, Ararume is the correct one. Then the question there is that the basis by which you choose Ararume is unknown to us because the party failed to do what they expected, what they're supposed to do. Ab initio. Now, we see where we are today. The issue of that INEC, because that's why everybody's calling about the amendment of this new electoral act, so that INEC, if you are INEC, should be able to participate in the screening. Because I'm a politician, I have conducted election. Whatever thing you supply to INEC, INEC will collect. Because I'm not submitting my documents to INEC. It's my party. So whatever thing you submit to your party will submit it to INEC. And INEC will accept it in hook, line, and sinker. And whenever the election happens, INEC position is to declare you winner or loser. Then it is not left for the other party to use that particular loopholes and go to court. And whenever he goes to court, if immediately court set aside that judgment and order INEC to recognize the other person, INEC will obey. So if you discover the various courts, Supreme Court decisions and Court of Appeal decisions, it ties the hands of INEC when it comes to internal party affairs. So that's why we are calling that let this electoral act be amended so that INEC will have a say to participate in the screening. Because whether you like it or not, the INEC still have a burden, a responsibility. Because when an election is being annulled or court order for rerun, INEC will still spend money, their own budgeted money, to go and conduct that election. So you should give them that little power to participate in the internal party affairs. Because as far as I'm concerned, had it been that INEC participated fully in the selection process of the internal party affairs, there wouldn't have been room for parallel.
So as it is today, INEC is powerless in who the party submits. It's the party that is solely responsible for screening and forwarding the name of the candidate to the electoral body. And the electoral body cannot reject if the name of Yomi has been sent in place of the name of Maxwell.
No. That is the position.
No. So whoever the party submits, his name is the candidate.
So now the question there is that as we speak today, if you watch very well, there's a lacuna and there's a subsisting court judgment. What will happen? Now, who came second? Because there is a lacuna. Will INEC now wait until Supreme Court to decide? You
tell me. I mean, as the lawyers here, you tell me, is INEC not obliged to wait until the legal processes have been exhausted, or can they do anything? Can it do anything even before? Because we are aware that, I mean, one of the cases has run its complete course up to the Supreme Court. The second one, which also arose from these primaries and the election, has gone as far as to the Court of Appeal, and we understand that an appeal has now been lodged at the Supreme Court.
Yes. Yes, right now INEC, what INEC would want to do and which INEC is doing is they want to sit and wait for the judgment of the court. But the question now arises, what about the representation? What about the people who have been denied representation at the National Assembly? Because the law, it's a saying that when two elephants fight, the grass suffer. The people are the ones that are suffering now. But be as it may, if we are to follow the decision of the court in Sanfara, and to look at it ab initio, as my learned friend has said, the election of April 5th in Imo Central,
the by-election,
the by-election, does the APC have a candidate?
No, you see, Maswell, yes. After that by-election,
yes,
INEC declared the APC as winner of that election.
Yes, sir.
Of course, that flows with other judicial precedents, that it is the political party
yes,
that contests elections and not necessarily the candidates.
Yes.
Now that that is a subsisting order, if at the end of the day, the man who has gone to who is now going to the Supreme Court does not get a favorable judgment at the Supreme Court, what then happens to the victory of the APC that was declared by the INEC after that by-election?
So you are suggesting that the entire Occupant will now wait for INEC again, wait for APC again to go and conduct another primaries and bring another person, then we start afresh.
I'm asking you.
The position there, we just cited what happened in Zamfara and in fact that of Bayelsa. That of Bayelsa is even the worst. Remember that one person, the main candidate qualified, is the deputy that was not qualified, and that affected the entire election, and they have to go. The second person now have to take over. So what do we expect also the umpire to do? They should declare the next person, because this is election matter, electoral issues. I know that the Supreme Court between now and the few weeks time they will be able to round off. Ordinarily, the PDP, or I think the PDP person that won.
Yeah, the PDP candidate.
The second runoff should
yes,
approach INEC to have a certificate of return. But I know that if he approaches INEC, INEC will say wait after Supreme Court. But or you just go to Federal High Court, just like Rochas did. Yes. Asking Federal High Court to order INEC to give you a certificate of return so that you go to National Assembly for your swearing in. So that is the position. So if a Supreme Court upholds the decision of the Court of Appeal in respect of Ibezim falsification documents and certificate, it then means that APC has no candidate. It's exercising futility. It's the Supreme Court authorities, they are there.
They are there.
So that is the implication, and that goes a long way of telling people, because I'm a politician, just like as I told you. You will discover that you will see a credible candidate. In fact, once the person in the hem of affair, either the governor or whoever that is in charge operating from Abuja, is interested in a particular candidate, they will blindfold the entire, almost all of them. Nobody will even ask. Let us, just like what to ask. You have a whole Lego, a ruling party. Yes. A ruling party, my own party. A ruling party. That you have all the SAN, you have all the professors of law. You did not ask them, go and meet this, set up this three-man committee, let them check your documents. Let them check your documents. Yes. Like where you're supposed to put K, you go and put R. You reconcile all these things. They ask you a question. If there is the ones that need to go to court to get affidavits to reconcile, you reconcile them. If there is the ones that you need to approach court for another to you take care of all those preliminary issues before going to the pool. For 1 year, this man died after the burial. You know that runoff is coming up very soon. You did not even call people. Set all this machinery in place. It's very, very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. It has happened in Zamfara. It has happened in Bayelsa. It continues to happen. Tomorrow it will still happen. This one is the one that we know. If you go to our various local government, various you will see a lot of them. You see a lot of them. It's very, very unfortunate. A ruling party.
Can some of these loopholes, yes, some of these inadequacies, as they exist today, whether within the parties or even at the electoral system level. Is there any way that they can be cured in terms of the current amendment to the Electoral Act that is lying before the National Assembly?
Yes, it can be cured. It can be cured. The law is there. If there's an amendment to the law, it can take care of some of these things. You know, law develops. It's a dynamic thing. As issues arise, then you amend the law to take care of such things. So it can be cured. For instance, now, it has become the law. What happened based on the Sanfara issue, which the Supreme Court has made a pronouncement on, if a party goes to an election and the candidate of that party is disqualified, as it stands today, the second runner-up will be given the certificate, will be returned, will be given the certificate of return. That is the position, except the Supreme Court now reverses itself. So that can be captured by the law in the amendment. And the issue of certificates irreconcilable differences in certificates or information that is being presented, there could be a law on what and what is. There's a law on what and what is required. In fact, it's just because some of our politicians, you know, they just like to brandish so many of these. You need the barest minimum is what you need. Don't present what you cannot prove, what you don't have evidence for. So if you and whatever that is irreconcilable that are different, if you look at your certificate, you can have a team. This is what I have this year. This is what I have. Check everything. Tell me the differences, and then that can be taken care of. At the party level too, the party could have a screening. Check all these certificates, the names and everything. Dot the T's and dot the I's and cross the T's before you send your candidate for an election, because it's a big problem. Because if supposing a political party goes into, people vote for political parties and they vote for candidates, one cannot stand without the other. You have the party is there, then the candidate is there. And then if they vote for party A and candidate A, and now there's a problem within the party, and the matter goes on to the Supreme Court, and candidate A was disqualified, then it falls on them to take candidate B, which is not the intended candidate, which is not the candidate. So they have no choice than to accept what the law has given to them, because they cannot be vacuum as it is presently. They cannot be vacuum.
As I build up to your answer to your question, we have said allow INEC to participate in the selection process, because if you have if the Electoral Act will allow INEC to come in, they will say the first screening A should be done by the party, then the screening B should be done by INEC. It will save a lot of time. Do you know how many litigations that is at the head of neck of INEC today? And INEC recruits Senior Advocate of Nigeria to represent them. Whose money? It's our own money. Now, if you go to court today, electoral matters, pre-election matters has taken over. If you have some other serious matters that has to do with the common man in the street, enforcement of fundamental rights, simple contracts, matrimonial issues, and declaration of title to land, they will be giving you far adjournment. You see the registrar who said, we are only handling election matters. Go to Court of Appeal. So if we can handle this thing from onset, you know, what is the difference between this Francis and the Frank? Are you the same person? Can you explain to us what happened? Which school? Can we go to that school? Can we reconcile all these things? Is the NYSC, do you swear an affidavit? Ask all these questions. These are one of the things that they normally do if you are going for any private organization. They ask you all these questions. They will even go a long way of going to your primary school, go to your secondary school to reconcile all these issues, so that when they know that you are not qualified, they will say you are not qualified based on this social reason, based on this social, and their party will say, please, can you get us another person? We are still within time. At that particular distance. So even if you are the son of the governor, even if the minister is your cousin, you will not. You say, I have tried. It's a certificate that qualifies you. We will continue. But when you allow everybody, I hear them saying, everybody just come. Somebody will come here. Even in this country, somebody came to this country, tell us that he graduated from Canada, University of Toronto. And the thing happened. He was accepted until the court threw him out. I'm talking about the former speaker, ex-speaker. So these are the issues we need to. This thing continue to repeat itself again. It's reducing us as a country.
Yes.
Does it mean that at this level, you are still talking about certificate? That somebody use forged certificate, use this thing to come and contest election? We are talking about a Senate, somebody that is making our law. So these are the things. I think these are the area the judiciary are looking at it to correct it. They don't want to give gap. They don't want to know what we are talking about. If you fail to do what you're supposed to do at that particular point in time. In fact, if the person who read the lead judgment made a heavy comment in that judgment. I read it this morning. He made a very heavy comment.
The one at the Court of Appeal.
Yes. I think I wrote it somewhere. Where he made a heavy comment. He said came out to say that the primaries, no, somewhere, I think I wrote somewhere, the court finally advises that candidates must be diligent with the ways and manners they put their names in documents, stressing that it is a serious thing if a person's name is misplaced or spelled wrongly. That is contained in the judgment. This is a heavy comment made by the judge. And they know the reason why they give this kind of advice. So it's very unfortunate that it's like this.
Now, I thought that security screening was usually part of the process in clearing candidates to contest elections. Now, what does security screening entail if it doesn't look at some of these very tiny details?
No, the security screening, as I made to understand, I think it's the DSSS that normally does that. Yes. Have you been involved in any serious crime, terrorism?
Simply deals with only
yes.
Your involvement in crime or otherwise.
It doesn't go into your document and what to submit it. It's the duty of the party. It's the duty of the party. Of course, in fact, the only thing that is happening is personal interest above political party interest. Because are you telling me that if you ask all those people who are contesting, I think there were 45 before they were screened, 45 of them, it won't take me 3 days to screen all of them. Only me. To screen all of them. Where is their papers? Give me your papers. Is it whose school? Are you telling me that you school in America? We can't even through phone get the information from there. And we now ask you a question. Why this? Why this? Is there anything? You need to convince us. We can even invite the media. If you invite the media, let them cover it. The media will not only cover when you are going to commission one room toilet. They should cover what is happening in your party. So that if you know that you're coming with the FOI document, please don't bring it to the pressmen are there. They will expose you. Is a screen of its own. So I don't know what we are talking about. So it's very unfortunate that we find ourselves in this level. So I think from what is going on now, the ultimate beneficiary is the second round, the PDP person. Will be the person. I think except they have filed, appeal has been entered. Maybe INEC will say, just wait. There is no need of giving you certificate of return. Tomorrow we'll withdraw it. Just wait. Just give us a month or two. Let's see what Supreme Court will say. Ordinarily, that young man should go there and collect his certificate. And where they fail to give him, approach Federal High Court. That is just a simple originating process, and ask court to.
We will come back to that, Maswell, especially against the backdrop of the fact that the Electoral Act is at the moment being tinkered with by the National Assembly. We'll look at some of these things that could actually be specified in the Act, as it were, if it will simplify the entire process of getting appropriate candidates for appropriate elections. When we return from this break, stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. The question is, what does the Electoral Act provide at the moment? What simpler way can the law deal with a situation such as we have on our hands in Imo State, where two candidates from the same party are jostling for one position from the primaries of the election? And of course, there were a number of other political parties who participated in that by-election, in fact, in any other election. Why should one party have more than one candidate in an election when indeed there are a number of other political parties? Now, some have argued that given the situation that is on ground today, perhaps INEC should conduct a fresh by-election in that senatorial district. Does the law support that?
No, no.
Mr. Maxwell?
No. Because you see, we cannot wait for. So if you conduct by-election there, and the PDP now decided to front another candidate with falsification of result, and they went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court said that and the PDP candidate now win the election, and you now went to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court said you have falsified documents. You now come back again for another by-election. No, it doesn't work like that. It's just like what happened in Bayelsa and Zamfara. It's there. There is nothing one can do. Even that of Bayelsa is even the worst. Yes. Remember that of Bayelsa, the governor qualified. So if there is anybody they're supposed to give consideration, it should be that of Bayelsa. They're not the governor qualified.
It's a joint ticket. So.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying. So, but this one now that is only you. Only you are the person. You are the A, you are the Z. And you want people to come back again because of you. On whose budget? INEC has a budget. On whose budget? Those security men who is going to budget for them in this economic situation? No, it's if you just pray, I'm saying that Supreme Court will set aside that court of appeal judgment. Except anything apart from that, the PDP person should step in if he qualifies also.
If he qualifies.
Yes. Yes. Since we have a runner-up.
Isn't there? You take it together.
Yes.
Isn't there a minimum threshold?
Yes.
That a candidate in an election must attain to be declared winner. If the candidate that follows the one who is declared unfit for that election does not meet that threshold, what does the law say?
Well, the position is that if it doesn't meet the threshold, you give it to the ones that meet the threshold.
And we had nobody meets.
If you give it to the person that meets this threshold, you take it down. You take it down. That means if it doesn't meet the threshold, it has not satisfied the constitutional requirement for being declared returned elected. But the issue of a by-election, another by-election, it does not arise because you can't punish a whole constituency for the sins or whatever, for the error of one of the party who participated in the election. The people who voted, they are not in charge of the screening of the candidate. You present the candidate to them. You have done your own work. You have said, okay, this is the person we are presenting as our representative from this. So the people, if you say conduct another by-election and then there are issues, then you go, what about time? You are talking of time, you are talking of logistics.
Security.
You are talking of security. The people are being denied representation. Because the position, as of today, the Supreme Court has decided, in Zamfara's case, in the case of Bayelsa, it is clear, unless it reverses itself. So the issue of a by-election does not even...
I brought that up as a way of getting you lawyers to clarify the situation.
Yes.
Unlike, for instance, in a presidential or governorship election where you are required to say, okay, you must have a certain percentage of votes in 2/3 of the local governments of the state or 2/3 of the states of the federation, as the case may be, to meet the threshold of being elected president or a governor. What is the situation with a senatorial district that has, some senatorial districts have more than 12 local governments.
Yes.
They have several wards, as it were.
Yes, I think a electoral act made provision for that. That's why I said if he qualifies. Because when the second person applied that please give me the certificate of return in line with this particular position of the courts. So the INEC will now check whether he is qualified because he is expected to declare winner and hand over certificate of return. So if he's not qualified, there's nothing INEC will do. INEC will check among the person, you could continue. That's just like my friend said, it doesn't continue until we get to the person. And where none of them that participated in that election qualified, and they could go for runoff.
Yeah, that's the point. That's exactly the point I wanted you to make here, because it needs to be clarified.
Yes.
It is not automatic.
It's not automatic. No. It's not automatic. It must be qualified, because you see, as you know, why we did not hear that of PDP and other political party, because somebody has emerged. I don't know whether you know what I'm saying. Now that when he comes up, you know, politicians, they will start thinking one way or the other. So he should check himself. If he's qualified, he will take over. If he is not qualified, there's nothing one can do about it. As we are analyzing that of APC, that's how we also analyze that of PDP. So that's
because if he doesn't meet the constitutional requirements or the requirements as provided by the Electoral Act, there's no way he will be returned.
And that was the reason.
So they go down and check whoever meets that requirement. And if there's none, then you cannot talk of be talking of a runoff.
You see the position of the entire country in the whole system. That's why we are clamoring of this issue of Electoral Act. We are calling National Assembly. Please leave this issue of social media, how to cage the media so that nobody will talk. Concentrate in amendment of the Electoral Act. I'm assuring you, these are the issues, fundamental issues that is affecting the umpire, that is affecting the entire system. If you can come up, a lot of memo has been said to you people in respect of all these issues. A lot of NBA has written, a lot of people, private individuals have written. Why not look into this thing, come up with a law so that we'll be out of all this issue of certification or certificate, not qualified and qualified, so that we'll move this country forward politically.
Yeah, but many people have argued, including your colleagues at the bar, that maybe we have spent the last 20 years of our return to democracy as a learning curve. And now it is time
20 years to 20 years learning.
Yeah, we have spent 20 years
learning.
We have spent 20 years. I mean, we have attained 20 years since our return to democracy in 1999.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's been a learning curve for everybody. Now it's time to perfect the process and all of that. Now, how fast can we move before the 2023 elections? Mr. Gusoya?
That is why I said initially that as issues arise, law is made for man. As issues arise, you amend the laws. Even in the United States of America, that's why you have all these Second Amendment, Third or Fourth Amendment and all that. If there's an issue that is not captured, there's no way a particular law will capture the whole scenario. And laws, there will always be loopholes. But when loopholes come, that is the essence of the amendment. What the National Assembly should do now is, before we get to 2023, all issues, all the memos people have been sent to the National Assembly, is to look at everything holistically, in view of emerging circumstances, and then put them into the amendment of the Electoral Act, and be very fast about it, so that we can have at least an Electoral Act that will be able to capture so many developments, so many things that has happened and that are still happening. For instance, this one that is happening and that happened will be captured by the Electoral Act, so that we don't continue to fall into the stumble and then fall and then continue in that line. There must be, the National Assembly must rise up to its duty.
Maxwell, before the 2019 elections, the Electoral Act Amendment Bill was passed by the National Assembly. It was not assented to by the President before the election. And I mean, you know the back and forth arguments about why it could not pass and all of that. We are in 2021. More than a year, or about a year, actually, after, more than a year or 2 years after the 2019 elections. We're moving towards the 2023 elections, which is just about 24, 25 months away and all of that. Yet, it appears that we are not moving at the kind of pace that our neighbors have an amended Electoral Act before that election.
You see, most of the times when we speak, they say that we are attacking National Assembly. I don't know the way to put it, because during that 2000 and before 2019 election, they said that the president did not sign because of his interest, his contesting and this thing. Now the election has come and gone. We are not talking about governance. We are not talking about moving the country forward. What is holding you people? We have been shouting in this studio, in several other media house, writing to them, please go into work. Look at all these issues, resolve them, so that we can move this country forward. Because if you watch this issue of the problem we have in this country is election. If we get it right in election, we are there. If we get it right in the election, we are there. Because the issue of somebody from nowhere, no background, nothing, you just enter there simply because somebody somewhere anointed you. That's why you see these voters apart. But when people discover that from the polling booth there, as the result is being announced, you don't even need to follow them to collection center. People have already known the person that won in that particular polling booth. We'll move this country forward. So whenever you shout, either they say that you are attacking the party or they call you one kind of name or the other. So if the National Assembly can come up, if not any other thing, before the September to say we are true, Mr. President to sign, the president is not contesting again. You just sign so that to all this issue, we should be talking about issue of security. This is the time we're supposed to talk about issue of security, how the what brought about to taking a helicopter to my state, Imo State, and start bombing people that you are looking for criminals. So we should be talking about all those serious issues that has to do with human life, not issue of election. As far as I'm concerned, that in fact, I was telling you the other day that if you are talking about politics, are you going to talk about politics? You are talking about Imo State. In a place like Olo, you are talking about politics. You are talking about APC. You are talking about PDP. It's the people that say that they are bombing them, that they are using helicopter to attack them. So we should be talking about all those issues, because the issue of election should not be taking our time. It should be something that the electoral act must have taken care of. In fact, you don't even need to declare public holidays, declare lockdown because you are doing election. The electoral act is there. Immediately you vote, the thing is already in the cloud. Immediately you vote, the thing is already in the cloud. You don't even need to ask people to come and carry ballot paper. So these are the issues. They know all these things. I don't know why they are delaying. I don't know why they decide to punish the people that elected them there to come and do law. I'm very, very disappointed in this present National Assembly. They should do something. They should be looking for the purpose-oriented bill that's in the National Assembly. They should look all those laws. They should amend them. Not issue of when the one that you know that people will come and complain, you start attacking them. So social media bill, who is the journalist, all those trivial issues. Are you know what I'm saying? So if let them concentrate in this electoral act, let's get it right electorally, then we are there. That is my take.
Mr. Augustin.
That's right. Once we get the election right, it's the election that throws up people. Once you have the right people, in place, and then that's when we start to get it. But in a situation where every electoral matter has to end in court, I don't think it serves the country and the people right. Every electoral, but if your legal team will look at your document and say, look, we don't think this is possible, because you know your fate already. You know your fate. You vice the electoral act and the constitutional requirements. I mean, if somebody is not qualified, you will see it. So you know that whatever you are doing is an exercise in futility. Once the electoral act can be amended, and then all the necessary provisions to guard against fraudulent and elections and all that has been taken care of, then we start to get it, because elections is what throw up candidates. And this issue of anointing, some of the time, most of the time, what happens is there's this candidate, and then somebody comes up, he has an anointed candidate, and then it throws, and then they abandon the person who was originally supposed to be the candidate of the party, and then because of vested interest, they throw up. Then it throws up issues. Then that's when the party comes in and they say no, because I don't even understand why parties will be having parallel
primaries. Like Maxwell puts it, the anointment craze.
Yes.
People get anointed.
Why?
In the final analysis, Maxwell, is democracy served when situations like this arise, and if at the end of the day, like we saw in Zamfara and Bayelsa, the person who, or the party that really didn't win the election originally, now benefits from that process.
Yes, you created that avenue. Just like, because you cannot blame the party. You see, they said for you to be a graduate, you must finish your WAEC, get your papers, get your JAMB, and enter into the university. And simply because you feel that if you write JAMB, you will have 300, and you write WAEC, you have A's. You decided not to go and write. You just jump into the university. And you have been writing exams, doing everything. In fact, you even managed to get a matric number. At the end of the day, finally, you have your first class. And somebody said that this guy did not even write JAMB, you don't even have WAEC. And they discovered that you don't have WAEC. You cannot say, they give me my first class. No. The person who made 2-1 should be the...
They withdraw your certificate.
Yes. That is just... No, nobody will even give you certificate in the first instance. As we are seeing now. They have not... Have they been given a certificate of return? I doubt. They have not been given. So that is the position.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Barrister Yomi Ogunsanya is based here in the nation's capital. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And Barrister Maxwell Okpara practices law here in the nation's capital and, of course, in Imo State, over in Imo State. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure, sir.
All right, that's our program for today. Please join us again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.